You're having brunch. It's 20 minutes away from 12 o'clock. My name is Rennie Bishop. Nice to have you with us. I trust that you're enjoying our morning. My guest is Kirk Waithe, who is the director of Fixing TNT. And folks, here with all the vigor and the passion you clearly have for the betterment of this country, Kirk, why don't you go into elective politics?
Well, one, my wife always tells me that if I get into electoral politics, she'll show me how overrated she thinks marriage is. That's one. So we have some convincing to do there. Okay. But any society that we consider to be really organized and efficient and so on, a common denominator is a strong civil society. Indeed. And more than anything else, that is where at this time, that is where I see myself contributing. That is where I want to contribute. Yes. And that is a part of that is where I really want to contribute, to get civil society, which would include organizations like the chambers, the business community, the law association, the religious bodies, and so on. Let us all start putting the country's interest before our own. So our voices must not only be heard when we have a foreign exchange issue, or when we're not getting to build a particular project and things like that. Let us put the country first. Let us stand consistently, and let us be persistent. Let us get out of that jail of fear that we've lived in for so long. Mm-hmm. And if there's one thing that I hope that people would have learned from Arrive Alive and now Fixing TNT is that there's no need to be fearful.
Just be very clear that my guest is also the founder of Arrive Alive before he moved on to this incarnation here.
Yeah, there's no need to be fearful. The people, and we specifically use the terms when in the letter that we've written to Dr. Rowley, we specifically said that you and the People's National Movement are now employed by the people to form our government, and this we must get the employer-employee relationship
clear
between the electorate and the elected. We must put that into its proper perspective.
Reinforcing for those who seem to forget that they are indeed employed. I agree with that.
And we have a duty. People ask me, Kirk, they say, you're doing this so your children could have a better life, and I'm doing this so I could have a better life.
Hey,
I still think I consider myself to be relatively young. I want to enjoy Trinidad and Tobago the way that I know it can be. This little place has immense potential. This little place has the potential to create a society that the rest of the world would want to model. I want to be a part of that. I want to experience that. So this isn't about my kids. This is about me. And if I get it right, my kids would benefit.
Would benefit, indeed, yes. That's one of the reasons we do what we do. Following along in that line, I want to go into something that many say should be scrapped, just outright. The Integrity Commission. Fixing TNT, the watchdog group. I'd like to see many more watchdog groups either join and expand yours or come up and join the effort. The Integrity Commission. I mean, let's talk about that.
Well, I think the Integrity Commission has a role to play. I think Ken Gordon, under his chairmanship, there were many attempts. There's a whole document on how he and retired Justice Venter and others think the Integrity Commission should work, how the powers should be expanded. Not everybody's in agreement with all that they've requested, but there is consensus that the powers of the Integrity Commission need to be expanded. I'll give you a simple example. You go into government office, you assume a ministerial role, your bank account might stay the same, but your wife's might end up being different, or your cousin, or your mother, or your father. And we need a body like the Integrity Commission to have the type, to have the authority to delve in to matters like that, to keep it honest. I've said publicly, I've been saying it for years, that our politicians historically have successfully kept our independent institutions dependent, weak, and without proper infrastructure. And I'll say again, and I hope to be proven wrong this time, I'll say again that there are few, if any, politicians that are genuinely interested in strong, truly independent institutions. I say that, and I want to be proven wrong. And I can be proven wrong very easily by the actions of that the government takes. But again, at the end of the day, Rennie, it comes down to you, me, and us, the people. Because they do what they do with our permission.
And we have to do what we do. That's the reason we introduced this program in the first instance.
Exactly.
Because we feel that we have we don't feel, we know we are all stakeholders. And what you do is not just say you're a stakeholder, but you create the avenue where other stakeholders can drive drive the point home.
Democracy is not going in a ballot box once every 5 years and playing Ix next to a candidate name. Because if you look at it, if let's say let's take an adult life as 50 years, 20 to 70, right? Just average. 5 years is 10% of 50 years. So for you to say, all right, I'm going and vote, and then that is it for 5 years, that's 5 years. That is 5 years of your life that you're just giving somebody total and full control over. And that has to change.
It is a letter that went to the Prime Minister, Honourable Dr. Keith Rowley. It dealt with the area of what fixing TNT see as the hindrances to moving forward. One of the areas you raised there, and I have heard this uttered. I've heard it said in different quarters, but I'm yet to get the facts dealing with it. But I see that you put it as one of the considerations that you asked for priority in the environment. You asked for a review of all quarrying licenses issued. Why?
Well, I think we need to look to see if some of the forests where quarrying licenses were granted recently fall under protected space. So I really think we need to urgently look at that, and if that is the case, then we need to see how we could reverse that process. And I mean, there are some conglomerates as well as people who you never heard about before, who just pop up, open a quarry thing, and they get licenses. I think that has to be very urgently addressed because, the quarrying like that, you end up with the environmental impact, flooding, and a whole number of other issues.
Yes, not only that, but we have not just the quarrying area. There's an area of some companies occupying a space while expanding that space and saying that it's implicit.
So we need to look at how the state lands were appropriated over the last 5 years.
Local government.
Wait, before that, Rennie,
I'm sorry,
the renewable energy, waste management, and energy efficiency, I think have to be given priority as well. So, like when we talk about the fuel subsidy being incrementally reduced, among the things that we would like to see consideration given to, for example, CNG, I think what we would have to do with CNG now, where people would be required to put this big tank in the trunk, and then you had to build all these stations across the country. I think we need to move away from that because the world is going hybrid. You have much more fuel efficient ways of transportation. A public enhancing or fixing a public transportation system is one way as well of positively impacting addressing the issue of the fuel subsidy. I would love to see things like the hybrid vehicles. I think they go right now. There's exemption for up to 1,800 cc's. We get vehicles up to 4,000 cc's that can come into Trinidad, and I think a good consideration would be exemptions across the board for 5 years for those types of vehicles, while we look at how we incrementally bring down, reduce the fuel subsidies and so on. I think that should be part of the renewable energy thrust, and noise pollution, I think, is a problem.
Yes.
We get calls all the time about people with parties and clubs and this and that, and we need to. How we take care of our environment is really how we take care of our people.
Make it livable for everybody.
Exactly.
And yes, I understand that. Local government, the Prime Minister made it very clear that he's going to give power to local governments. He's going to give them more responsibility by natural extension that will create jobs, but it will also put those who are going to correct problems on the ground closer to the ground. Closer to the problem. So he said that, but you urging him, and I know that this letter was sent after his ascent, so you must have heard him articulate this position at the hustings, and still you saw it necessary to put here. Why?
Well, no, what we're saying is that we support the initiative to empower local government, but there must be very strict systems of accountability. Again, efficiency, productivity, and accountability have to become our watchwords. As long as we're not, and we use the THA as the example, because the Prime Minister on the hustings used the THA as an example of how empowering local government can work. But the accounts of the THA, according to the Auditor General, are in
shambles.
Yeah,
at best.
For the past several years. Among the things that we will be advocating for, somebody has to be held accountable for that. Ultimately, it might be over London, but somebody has to be held accountable for that. And we're saying to avoid that mistake happening, we need to make sure that there are very strict systems of accountability. Even when we talk about the office of the DPP having a budget of its own, the judiciary, the DPP is a lawyer, not an accountant. So there must be in there a finance department that can properly manage the money. With local government, if the intention cannot be, and I know that it's not Dr. Rowley's intention to do this, I'm certain of that, but what must happen before a cent is given to local government to say, here, you control this on your own, the systems of accountability have to be put in place.
Yes. I do want to take you into another area that you said to him, human development. You said illiteracy must be honestly assessed and treated with successive administrations for far too long have buried their heads in the sand on this crucial matter.
Well, and I was listening to Dr. Winford James talk about how educated we are. And he's probably right. Those of us who are, we're probably very educated. But the fact that our functional illiteracy rate could be estimated to be as high as 47% in a country that is as wealthy as Trinidad and Tobago is a problem. And again, that didn't start on May 24th, 2010.
But a lot of people, and I want you to repeat that and expand on it just for clarity of everybody. Functional illiteracy is something folks don't look at because we've become so papered that we don't see what happens after you've been presented with your certificate, your instruments.
Healthcare, especially in a country as wealthy as ours, we should be leading the world in healthcare. And again, had we plugged several years ago, but even now we didn't. Once we plug many of the holes through which the wastage passes, we can invest and really enhance, really develop. Or correct these situations.
As I told you the last time, it's some really good work you folks are doing. Let me give you this telephone number to call after we get off the air. It's 681-2338. 681-2338. Not just for hello, but in fact to say some things that you see, some things you know, to offer whatever help you can do, because it must be a very strongly functioning civil society. I concur with that 100%. You have said that 3 times. Let me pass on the telephone number because I did promise our listeners I would give them 5 minutes, and we have exactly that. 628-2250, 681-2338, 681-2338. Kirk, we just exhausted all the time. We have other priorities that we have not touched this morning. Any of them you want to articulate before we close this one down?
I wish Trinbagonians would appreciate the power that we the people have and understand the responsibility that we have to actively participate in taking our Trinidad and Tobago in the direction that we want it to go. It is the responsibility of all of us.
It is so right, exactly what you say, and it is exactly what I feel 1,000% for folks to, first of all, understand a couple of things that you articulated this morning. All those in government, we are their bosses. They are employed by us. They have a term period. All those in government cannot tell me you're coming to the job and you don't want to debate in future, because that is how you are counting. You must have an interview before I put you up there. Once I put you up there, you have to account to me where you spend everything. Because while you, Mr. Government Minister or Member of Parliament, while you are also a taxpayer, I am too. I must have a total account of what happens with my money. And organizations like yours, Kirk, I truly salute, because that is exactly what we need. And you said it most succinctly and accurately. A meaningful, involved civil society is going to be the propulsion that would help any country move forward.
Yeah, and there are just a couple sayings we say. When we all do a little, we invariably end up with a lot. So just do your part, do your little part. Get out of that jail of fear. Get out of that jail of fear. Whether you're in business or wherever else, get out of that jail of fear.
And keep in mind that telephone number I say. Go on Facebook and look up Fixing TNT and make your contribution to them there. Read what they are doing, and you can, of course, give them the call as we have given the number a number of times. Kirk, thank you so much. I hope that you have a very good week, and do not be a stranger, because you and any other advocacy watchdog group that's in the place I will be talking to, because we have to get out of this cycle that we talk about it today, everybody forget about it in 7 days, and we come back 5 years later with the same lamentation.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks for having us.
Have a wonderful day now.